Hello, this is Emma. I'm going to read you Tasha's story today, which goes like this. While squatting in the house I paid $600,000 for with his girlfriend, my brother labeled me a loser. I tossed their belongings on the grass and changed the locks. So, who is the loser in this situation? Despite his cries and threats, I grinned. All right, let's leave. I'm Tasha, a 34-year-old account manager at a respectable business. I've been able to save money for my own home, something I've desired for years, thanks to the job's good compensation. I feel like I'm wasting money every month when I write the rent check for this flat I've been renting for far too long. I've finally saved up enough money for a down payment after years of saving. Working with a realtor, I discovered some potential properties within my budget. Only my automobile was the issue. It was in the shop being repaired after breaking down. I was therefore forced to use Ubers and taxis to go about. It's around 30 minutes to my folks' house. Dad is a construction worker. Mom works as a secretary at school. They're kind folks, but they've always given preference to Jake, my younger brother. At 29, he is unable to maintain employment. He frequently quits or gets fired, is in between jobs, and always comes up with an explanation. During Sunday supper, I made the decision to share my house hunting intentions with them. Jake was watching TV on the couch as I entered. I inhaled deeply before making my statement to the table. I have enough money saved up to purchase a home. I'm looking at properties in my price range with the help of a realtor. Mom had a startled expression. That's fantastic, my dear. What amount do you want to spend? Dad inquired. I'm considering homes that cost about $600,000. I have enough too for a sizable down payment. Jake became more attentive than he had been during the evening. You know what? Since I'm not working at the moment, I could definitely assist you. I could give you a ride around so you could see residences. Your vehicle was in the shop, correct? I was truly taken aback. Normally, Jake wasn't the helpful kind. That's actually really nice of you to offer, I said. I mean, I am aware of homes and other things. Regarding locations, I may provide you a second opinion. Be careful not to be taken advantage of or anything. Jake was volunteering to assist me with the largest purchase of my life, in spite of all his imperfections. Perhaps he was at last maturing a bit. Okay, I said. Tomorrow, my realtor and I are going to view some homes. I would like your company if you truly wish to come. Certainly. Simply text me the information, and I'll come get you. And what do you know? In fact, Jake did. He picked me up the next day, and we set off on our house hunting journey. We probably viewed 15 different homes over the course of the following 2 weeks. Jake would take me to all of the appointments that my realtor had scheduled. In fact, he was helpful, I must say. Jake has a keen sense of trouble, but he's a jerk who can't hold down a job. He observed something strange about the bathroom of a house that appeared to be flawless from the outside. He said, "Tasha, come look at this." He gestured towards the floor beside the toilet as I approached. Look at the distorted tiles here, and can you smell that? There is undoubtedly a sewage issue. He was correct. Jake demanded that we check out the basement, despite the realtor's attempts to minimize it. Water stains and a musty odor that shouted sewage problems were there, as expected. Don't even think about it, Jake advised. This place would cost you thousands in repairs. I'm glad he noticed that. That house was the first place we left. Jake done such things at a number of homes. He would draw attention to foundation difficulties, electrical problems, or just oddities. Sometimes he was fussy, but other times he helped me avoid costly errors. We finally located it after 2 weeks of looking, a stunning home in a desirable neighborhood that was exactly $600,000 within my price range. The inspection revealed no serious problems. It was flawless. I was so thrilled that I was hardly able to control myself. I wanted to seal the transaction right away. To finish all the paperwork, my realtor put in extra hours. And in less than a week, I was signing the mortgage documents for the largest financial commitment of my life, $600,000. It was mine, though. But the timing seemed ridiculous. My supervisor really summoned me into his office the day after I closed on the house. I need you to spend 2 weeks in Phoenix, Tasha. You are the only one capable of handling this important customer presentation. I had just bought a house when I went on a work trip. It was difficult for me to say no. This customer was significant. That night, I called him, Jake, and asked for a favor. For work, I'll be out of town for 2 weeks. Could you alter my new home's locks? When I return, I'll take the keys from you. His response was, sure, no problem, I'll take care of it. The next day, I took a plane to Phoenix and got to work. The presentation to the customer was intensive. Much pressure, long days. There was little time for me to consider my new home. During the journey, I gave Jake a call to see how he was doing. Hey, how's it going with the locks? I inquired. All done, he declared. Yesterday, they were changed. Your home is safe. I eventually took a plane home 2 weeks later. Even though I was tired, I was thrilled to see my house with the new locks at last. I wasn't in a rush to leave because I still had 2 months remaining on my flat lease. I thought I would take my time, perhaps starting with some little repairs or painting. I contacted Jake to pick up my keys the day after I returned from Phoenix. As the real owner, I was eager to finally tour my home and perhaps begin organizing my plans for each area. I said, hey, Jake, I'm back from my trip, as soon as he answered. Can you bring me the keys to my house? There was a strange silence that seemed longer than usual. Then he said something that caught me off guard. Actually, I can't give you the keys right now. What do you mean you can't give me the keys? Confused, I asked. Well, I made the decision to temporarily move in with my new girlfriend. You would simply obstruct us. I was genuinely unable to comprehend what he was saying. What are you discussing? Jake, it's my house. I purchased it. Yeah, but I talked to Mom and Dad about it, and they said it's okay for me to stay there. I was stunned. This must have been a joke. This is crazy, Jake. You must give me my keys and leave my house right away. In fact, he laughed. Tasha, calm down. I've previously spoken to our parents about this. They are completely okay with it. What I was hearing was unbelievable. I quickly phoned a cab after hanging up. I had to find other transportation because my car was still in the repair. I sat there seething the whole way after giving the driver my address. I immediately rushed to the front door of my residence and began pounding. Jake, open this door right now. I could hear people within, but there was no response. Footsteps, voices. I was aware that he was inside. I called his name and knocked again. I'd had enough after 5 minutes or so. I'm going to call the cops, Jake, if you don't open this door now. You are inhabiting my home unlawfully. The house fell silent. My phone then rang. Mom was there. Tasha, honey, what's going on? Jake had phoned her, and I knew it. Jake won't allow me into my own home, Mom. He changed the locks as I requested. However, he has now made the decision to move in with a girlfriend. This is absurd. Mom responded, now, Tasha, calm down, using the tone she employs when attempting to control a situation. Come over here so we can talk about this properly. I'm calling the police if he doesn't open my door right now, I said. Don't you dare, Mom snapped. This is an issue within the family. Come here right now. I was so furious that I was having trouble thinking clearly. I ordered another cab after striking the door once more, hard enough to injure my hand. I was enraged when I arrived at my parents' place 20 minutes later. As soon as I entered the room, I demanded, I want to know if it's true that you told Jake he could live in my house. Mom and Dad exchanged glances. Mom then gave a nod. Although Jake didn't catch anything, it's true. He just chose to remain there for the time being. He's dating this girl, and he needs somewhere private to be with her. Are you kidding me right now? What I was hearing was unbelievable. I purchased the home. The mortgage is being paid by me. Jake has no business being there. He needs it more than you do right now, she said. You have to understand his situation. Dad bent over. You have 2 more months left in your flat, Tasha. Let Jake have a place of his own as he and his girlfriend have nowhere to go. Get a job and rent a flat like a normal person, I said. It's just for a couple of months, Dad answered calmly, until Jake gets a job and a place of his own. You may then move in once he leaves. I was totally taken aback. This is not typical. It doesn't function like this. I will make a police call. Mom's tone became harsh. We will no longer communicate with you if you report your brother to the authorities. We deal with this as a family since it is a family concern. Dad murmured softly, you've always been such a good sister, Tasha, sweetheart. Jake has always benefited from your assistance. We are only requesting that you assist him once more. Well, the guilt trip. I could tell they were quite serious about this by the way they stared at each other. They genuinely thought that while I was paying down the mortgage, I would let Jake reside in my home. I answered, 2 months at last. He's gone after 2 months. Not one more day. Mom responded, thank you, honey, with a relieved expression. I knew you'd understand. I didn't say goodbye to any of them before leaving. Jake texted me after I returned to my flat. Thank you, sis. Thank you very much for this. All I did was look at my phone. Everything about it seemed so unbelievable. My brother, who was unemployed, required the house for his romantic life. Therefore, I was unable to reside there. I made an effort to concentrate on my job and day-to-day activities, but I kept thinking about Jake living with me. After a few days, I was at my breaking point. I needed to see what was happening. My car was finally fixed, so I drove over there and knocked on the door. Jake responded with a broad smile this time. Hey, Tasha, come on in. I spotted her as soon as I entered my own home. Sitting on my couch like she owned the house was Jake's girlfriend. She wore clothing that probably cost more than my monthly vehicle payment, and she was blonde and maybe 25 years old. This is my girlfriend, Brianna, Jake declared with pride. Brianna raised her head from the phone. You're the sister, I see. I heard about you from Jake. You should probably call first the next time. We were ready to leave. I gazed at her. First call? This is my home. Brianna gave a shrug. Well, whatever. However, Jake and I now reside here, so please be considerate of our personal space and notify us when you want to visit. My blood pressure went up. Give me room, please. I live here. I'm making mortgage payments. Brianna remarked nonchalantly, look, I don't really care whose name is on the papers. Jake and I are living here, so these are our rules. Jake took hold of my arm just as I was going to lose it. Tasha, can I talk to you in the kitchen for a second? Before I could utter another word, he drew me away from Brianna. He remarked in a low voice, look, please don't start a fight with her. She's just protective of our space. Jake, our space? This is my home. I understand, but could you please just keep your cool? It's only a momentary situation. I took a deep breath. Fine, but I want a spare set of keys to my own house and no parties, Jake. I'm serious about that. Yeah, sure. No problem. He went to a drawer and pulled out a key ring. Here's your spare set. I took the keys and walked past Brianna without saying goodbye. She didn't look up from her phone. A month passed since Jake moved into my house. I tried to focus on work and just wait it out, but it was driving me crazy knowing he was living in my place while I paid the mortgage. Finally, I called him to check on his job search. Hey, Jake. How's the job hunting going? Have you found anything yet? There was that familiar hesitation in his voice. Yeah, I'm looking. It's just really tough out there right now, you know, but I'm working on it. When exactly are you planning to move out? We agreed on 2 months soon. I promise. I just need a little more time to find the right opportunity. A week later, my phone rang. It was Mike, one of Jake's old friends who I'd known for years. Hey, Tasha, are you going to Jake's housewarming party? I almost dropped the phone. What housewarming party? You know, for his new house. He said he finally bought a place, and he's throwing a party to celebrate tomorrow night at 7. My blood went cold. Mike, what exactly did Jake tell you about this house? He said he'd been saving up for years and finally bought his dream house. He mentioned you helped him with the down payment or something. Pretty cool of you to help your little brother out like that. I was speechless. Jake was telling people he owned my house, and he was throwing a party after I specifically told him no parties. Mike, when did you say this party was? Tomorrow at 7. You should definitely come. Jake's really excited about it. Yeah, I'll be there, I said grimly. The next evening, I drove to my house. I could hear music blasting from inside and see people through the windows. There were cars parked all over the street. I used my spare key to let myself in. The place was packed. There had to be 30 or 40 people crammed into my living room and kitchen. Music was pounding, people were drinking, and nobody even noticed me walk in. I pushed through the crowd, looking for Jake. I found him in the kitchen, holding court with a group of guys I didn't recognize. He was gesturing wildly with a beer in his hand, talking loudly over the music. I'm telling you guys, I've been saving for this place for like 5 years. he was saying. My sister helped me out a little with the paperwork and stuff, but this is all mine. Then he laughed and added, poor Tasha is still stuck in some crappy rental apartment while I'm living it up in this awesome house. She's such a loser. I coughed loudly. Everyone turned around and saw me standing there. Jake's friends looked embarrassed. Most of them knew me and realized something was wrong. Jake's face went bright red. He quickly grabbed my arm and pulled me into the hallway, away from his friends. Look, I can explain, he started. Really? You think I'm a loser living in a crappy apartment while you live in your luxury house? I didn't mean it like that. Some of these guys are potential business partners. I needed to look successful by lying about owning my house. It's just temporary, he said desperately. Please don't say anything to them. I started walking back toward the living room, and he grabbed my hand. Tasha, please don't kick everyone out. I'm begging you. It's time to stop lying, Jake, I said loudly. If you tell them the truth right now, I'll call Mom and Dad, he shouted back. And they'll take my side like they always do. I stopped and looked at him. There was something different in his voice. Something mean. He smiled when he saw my expression. I already talked to them about this. They think this house is perfect for me. Mom wants you to just give it to me permanently. What are you talking about? She thinks you should transfer the deed to me. You're older. You should take care of your little brother. I've got Brianna now, and we want to get married. We need this house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And if I don't, then they'll disown you. Cut you off completely. I stared at my brother like I was seeing him for the first time. You're serious? Dead serious. This house is perfect for us. You can find another place. I left the party without another word and called Mom from my car. Mom, did you really tell Jake I should give him my house? Well, yes, she said calmly. You're established in your career, and Jake needs help getting started. He has a girlfriend he wants to marry. Who's going to pay the mortgage? Mom sounded surprised. You are. Of course, Jake doesn't have a job yet. So, let me get this straight. Jake lives in my house, I pay the mortgage, and he gets to keep it forever. I understand, I said quietly and hung up. I drove back to my apartment and started packing my things. I'd had enough of this insanity. Tomorrow, I was ending this whole ridiculous situation. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove to my house. I parked across the street and waited. An hour later, Jake and Brianna came out and got in his car. They drove away, probably going to lunch or shopping with the money Jake wasn't earning. As soon as they were gone, I drove up to my house. I'd already called a locksmith and arranged to meet him there. He was waiting for me when I arrived. You want all the locks changed? He asked. Every single one, I said. While he worked, I went in my car and started bringing in the boxes I'd packed, my clothes, my personal stuff, everything I needed to actually live in my own house. Then I went upstairs and gathered all of Jake and Brianna's belongings, clothes, toiletries, some electronics, a bunch of junk. I stuffed everything into garbage bags and carried them outside to the front lawn. When the locksmith finished, I paid him and locked myself inside my house. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe normally. I was finally home. Around 6 o'clock, I heard a car pull up. Then angry voices outside. Jake and Brianna had come back. What the hell? Jake was yelling. Why are our things on the lawn? They started pounding on the door and ringing the doorbell over and over. I cracked open an upstairs window. Get off my property, or I'm calling the police. Tasha, what did you do? Why did you throw our stuff out? Because this is my house and you don't live here anymore. Jake immediately pulled out his phone and called Mom. I could hear him screaming into it about how I'd kicked them out. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Tasha Marie, you let your brother back into that house right now. No, Mom, I won't. If you don't, we're done with you. We'll never speak to you again. Then I guess we're done, I said and hung up. Jake and Brianna stayed outside yelling for about 15 more minutes. Finally, Jake shouted, You're going to regret this, Tasha. Then they were gone. After Jake and Brianna left, I called my boss and explained that I needed to work from home for a few weeks. I told him I was dealing with a family emergency, which wasn't exactly a lie. He was understanding and said I could work remotely as long as I needed to. I set up my laptop in the upstairs bedroom I'd converted into an office and tried to focus on work. It felt strange being in my own house for the first time, but also incredibly relieving. No more paying rent while someone else lived in the place I owned. I ordered groceries online and had them delivered. I wasn't taking any chances leaving the house unattended. I knew Jake well enough to know he wouldn't give up easily. For the first few days, everything was quiet. I started to think maybe Jake had actually accepted that it was over. I should have known better. On Thursday afternoon, I was working at my computer when I heard a weird scratching sound coming from downstairs. It sounded like someone was trying to pick the lock on my front door. I crept to the window and looked down. There was Jake, crouched by my front door with what looked like lockpicks in his hands. He was actually trying to break into my house. I grabbed my phone and called 911. Someone is trying to break into my house. He's picking the lock right now. I gave them my address, and they said officers were on the way. I stayed by the window, watching Jake work on my lock. He was completely focused, like he had every right to be there. The police arrived within 5 minutes. 2 officers got out of their car and walked up to Jake, who was still crouched by my door. "Excuse me, sir. What are you doing?" Jake looked up, startled. "Oh, hey, officers. This is my house. I just locked myself out." I opened my front door and stepped out. "Officers, I'm the homeowner. This man is my brother, and he does not live here. He's trying to break in illegally." Jake jumped up. "Tasha, tell them I live here." "No, Jake, you don't live here. This is my house, and I want him arrested for attempted breaking and entering." Jake's lockpick was examined by one of the officers. "Sir, do you have permission to be on this property?" Jake was enraged. "You can't harm me like this, Tasha. I am a member of the family." "Sir, you're under arrest for attempted burglary," the officer remarked as he produced handcuffs. Jake continued to yell, "I'm going to regret this. I can't do this to family," as they escorted him to the police vehicle. I waited for them to drive away, watching from my doorway. My phone rang 2 hours later. Mom was furious when she saw it. "You have arrested your brother? How dare you? Right now, you phone the police and request that they release him." "No, Mother. He was attempting to enter my home. That is absurd. It is a family issue. He was committing a crime as an adult. I'm not going to call anyone." My mother hung up. My cousin informed me a few days later that Jake had been freed following my parents' posting of bail. 3 months have passed since then. Since that day, neither Jake nor my parents have talked to me. Other family members have informed me that Jake and Brianna currently reside with my parents. It seems that Mom and Dad are telling everyone they can about my selfishness and cruelty, as well as how I left my family because of a foolish house. Last week, my cousin Emma gave me a call to update me on the turmoil in the family. "Your mom is still going around telling everyone you stole Jake's house," she continued. "She's saying you tricked him into thinking it was his." When I said, "That's insane, but I'm not surprised. Your dad doesn't oppose her, but he looks embarrassed by the whole situation. Jake is also telling folks that you arrested him without cause. What about his girlfriend?" About a month ago, Brianna broke up with him. It seems that she wasn't aiming for the opulent lifestyle she desired while she lived with his parents. That nearly made me feel sorry for Jake. Nearly. "Are you okay, though?" Emma inquired. "I mean, with not talking to them. Honestly, I'm better than I've been in years. And the fact is that my home is a place I adore. I chose colors for the walls that I truly adore. I purchased furnishings that brings me joy. Now I have a garden. It's mine, therefore I can do anything I want. Sometimes I long for my family. Not hearing from Mom or Dad is strange. I don't miss the drama, though. I don't miss being coerced into solving Jake's problems out of guilt. Being the responsible one who is supposed to give up everything for everyone else is not something I miss." I informed my pals what had happened, and they were startled. The majority of them expressed shock that my parents would support Jake on such a blatant issue. Some expressed admiration for my ability to advocate for myself. The work has been going great. I have been more productive and focused since the family tension has subsided. My employer has made hints that I could be getting promoted soon. Jake and I met in the grocery store last month. It was really weird. He was deciding whether or not to approach me when he first noticed me. At last, he approached. Silently, "Hey, Tasha," he said. "Look, I understand that the house issue got out of control. Perhaps we could speak at some point. Sort things out. Jake, there is nothing to resolve. You attempted to take my house. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that." He seemed to want to continue, but I turned to go. His tactics and justifications are over. I'm occasionally asked if I regret severing my familial ties. No, is the response. I don't regret my decision, but I do regret that it had to occur. They made their identities and opinions of me clear to me. Jake believed he could take over my home. My parents believed that I ought to allow him. I've discovered that family members don't always have your best interests in mind. Those who are meant to love you without conditions might sometimes be the ones who will cause you the most pain. But I'm all right. For me, it's sufficient to be at my home and live my life as I see fit.